Okay, this is going to be a tutorial on chord charting. I'm going to do different levels and try to do this as in order as possible. So in order to prepare for this, make sure you've downloaded Sibelius Scorch. That is a Sibelius sheet music player. And you're going to go ahead and install that on your Mac or Windows PC. That is one requirement. The main thing we're going for with that is the Opus, O-P-U-S font, and it has several different versions. But that Opus font is going to give you the musical characters as symbols. The thing you absolutely need is an updated version of Microsoft Word, because that's kind of what we're going to be utilizing to show you how to do this. Yes, you can do this on any kind of word processor. You can do this with Google Docs. Just going to be some adjusting. I'm doing this from the perspective of Microsoft Word, though. So first step is you're going to open a blank document, as you see here. The margins should be set initially, but we're going to change that stuff. Anyway, this is very, very important. This is a process. It is my process, but it is important for you to be able to really chart out music. That's the point of this, is we're pre-charting prior to setting any of this to sheet music, to actual score. All right, so as we see, we have a blank document opened. We're going to go to the Margins tab on the left-hand corner. You're going to choose Narrow, all right, because we want as much space, working space, as possible, depending on the density of the lyrics and the notes that we're going to be writing. The next step is you're going to change your orientation. Notice we're going to actually click on landscape and not portrait, because we want this to be very wide, because sometimes, again, lyrics will run across the screen in that way. So there we have it. We have this nice wide, almost 10-inch orientation. Now, we're going to change the font, and we're going to change it to 10, all right? Because we do want things to be generally small enough to fit across. You can mess with this yourself if you want. And we're going to start with two of those, I don't know what they're called, but it's like a little straight line symbol. You'll find it usually above the Enter key. It's in the same key as the backslash, but it's going to be your shift option on that. So that basically is going to be our indicator of the beginning of a measure. Now, here I usually like to put whatever the meter is, the basic meter that we're using. And in follow-ups, I'll show you how to change meter throughout. But right now, we're just going to say this is common meter, or 4/4. And as a reminder, that means there are so many of this thing in this measure. So this means there are 4/4 notes per measure that we're going to build, or in this case, 4 quarter notes. So because we're building a measure of 4/4, I'm going to start by having the main beats be these vertical slash thingies, all right? And then we're going to use a hyphen to indicate every offbeat. So in this, especially in a piece, now there are other ways of doing this, but I'm going to do this indicating the 8th note as the smallest indication. So this would be 1 and 2 and so on. So we're going to write that all the way out. So we have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So this indicates an entire measure that we're going to be using. And now, because we are now on our second measure, we're going to use 2 of these little thingies to say, okay, this is stronger delineation. And so we fill it all in. So now we have how many measures? 2. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So this is 2 full measures of music. And now what we have given ourselves is kind of a ruler, if you think about it. So anything that's going to go below here is going to fit this within this ruler, right? So now the step that we're going to take is we're going to actually write out the text that we're going to be singing. As a reminder, text that is sung should always be capitalized, because text that is not capitalized and in sentence case means we're speaking it while the song is being performed. So that's the difference between spoken word and sung. So we indicate it is sung by capitalizing. This is, of course, our very lovely Irish folk song, Danny Boy, that we're using. So here we go. And then the next step is I'm going to delineate it into its sections. We have verse and chorus in this particular example. And so now we know which sections we're going to be using. For the purpose of this demonstration, I'm only going to be messing with verse 1, by the way. But it is important to kind of like parse out the parts. So now, after we do this, I like to kind of get the verse 1 and chorus titles somewhat out of the way. So I'm going to go to my colors and I'm going to make sure that they're gray. So it's silly, but it's, we don't want to sing the words verse 1. So we're going to color them differently just to kind of show that there are indications of a new section. All right, so we do that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to look through and highlight what I feel are the important syllables, right? So I'm bolding what are the important syllables. In this case, oh, Danny boy, the pipes are calling. Now, yes, you could bold that. There's an argument for that. The pipes are calling, right? But this is a little bit of personal preference. The thing you don't want to do is say, oh, Danny boy, because that's just incorrect prosody. Oh, Danny boy, the pipes are calling, right? There's an argument for that, but it's not a great one. The pipes are calling is not really how you would say that in conversation. So that's the point, is we're trying to bold this to make it as close to conversational English as possible. Oh, Danny boy, the pipes are calling from glen to glen and down the mountainside, right? Now, here we have an artistic choice. And I'm kind of cheating because I kind of know how the tune goes, obviously. But it could be said that from glen to glen and down the mountainside, right? Yes, of course, we could have highlighted mountainside. But if you're saying mountainside, if you know your Irish culture, that's generally the dialect. They don't say mountainside, they say mountainside, right? The mountainside. The summer's gone and all the roses dying. And again, this is how I'd speak it. Not just, yes, obviously roses is very important, but in saying it a couple times, I just said, the summer's gone and all the roses dying, right? So you have that nice little inflection there. 'Tis you must go, and I must bide, right? And again, I can argue that, and I must bide, and I must bide changes the meaning depending on where you inflect it. But this is just kind of how it was set, and therefore, making an argument for utilizing these particular inflections. Now, this is a real tricky one. What you're going to do, and again, this will be a lot of trial and error, is you're going to think about how it fits metrically into this. Because again, we have the strongest beat on 1, and then the second strongest beat is on 3. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and that's very, very important for melody. It's very important for dissonances and consonances. But as far as just setting this for our chord chart, we're going to be thinking 1, 2, and 3, and 4, right? And it's very important to structure this for the metric. In other words, boy in this particular song is where the first beat hits. This is the number one mistake over and over and over and over again with young songwriters, is they think in terms of English and how they speak it, and they visualize that, oh, Danny boy is going to be on the beat, the first beat, the strong beat. But it is not, Oh, Danny boy, the pipes are calling from glen to glen. It's, oh, Danny boy, the pipes are calling from glen to glen and down the mountainside. So you see how I wrote this? See how I structured this? So boy, call, glen, side, gone, die, you, bide. So that's the way it's really structured, right? And so you notice this is what we call a pickup bar. So that's as if there's silence here. Oh, it starts. Oh, Danny boy, the pipes are calling from glen to glen. So it's just a general feel for how it's going to be, right? But come ye. Notice this is part of the chorus, but it doesn't appear on beat 1. But come ye back when summer's in the meadow, or when the valley's hush and white with snow. I think that's hushed, by the way. Good. I just did this from memory, so forgive me if it's off. Now we're going to start spacing it out. Now we have 2 full measures here, and we're going to pull this up, put a little space here and here. Oh, Danny boy, the pipes are calling. And then we're going to move that oh, Danny to the end of the pickup bar here, right? And so now we have oh, Danny boy, the pipes are, here's measure 2, calling from glen to, right? And we just do this throughout the whole process, right? So now we're seeing a little bit of the structure and hearing it a little bit closer to how it happens in time. Oh, Danny boy, the pipes are calling from glen to glen and down the mountain side. The summer's gone and all the roses dying. And notice I'm putting a little space here just to kind of indicate this is going to be held out a little longer, right? Now we start fitting it metrically. This is the pickup bar, 2, 1. And here we have oh, Danny. And everything, because it's the smallest delineation or metric, a part of the metric is going to be the 8th note. We're going to go, okay, let's measure this, all of this in 8th notes. So, oh, Danny is just 8th, 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 because it's the smallest part. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, oh, Danny boy, right? So that's why we have oh, Danny here. This gets a lot more complicated with more modern music that uses a lot more syncopation and anticipation. And we'll talk about how to do that later. That's my favorite phrase. But in the meantime, this is a simple song because everything is coming kind of on the beat. So it's an easier instructional song that way. Now what I'm going to do, I'm noticing as I'm spacing it out, these are a little big. We have, for some reason, that 10 didn't really stick, so it's still at 12 font. So I'm going to highlight all of this, and I'm going to change that to 10. And you can see now things fit a lot more easily. And you see I already went boy. Okay, so here's an example of what am I going to do? How do I space this out? All right, so again, I'm trying to align these with the beats. Oh, Danny boy, the pipes are calling from glen to. Now you see how I did that? I had a sound for every single 8th note. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 2, 2, 3, 4, or. Oh, Danny boy, the pipes are calling from glen to. And you notice we're going to stretch this out. All right, so when we spread this out and we kind of go, okay, what does it look like? Let's check it. Oh, Danny boy, the pipes are calling from glen to glen and down the mountainside. The summer's gone and all the roses dying. So notice this is really good. Side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 5 whole moments of space. It's 5 8th notes worth. So we're going to have to really come back to that and make sure that makes sense. All right. So now we're kind of spreading everything out. Looks pretty good. And what I'm doing is, by the way, I'm putting like a little underscoring here to make sure that we understand we're going to be holding that note. Calling. For example, there's going to be 2 notes here. Calling, if you remember the tune. So this is giving, again, everything here is just to give us a good idea of what's going on and just really, really spacing things out so that it gives a more accurate depiction of what it is your song really sounds like. Remember, the entirety of this process is, can we get what's inside our heads, outside our heads, or in our ears, outside our ears, right? That's the important part. All right, so now I'm going to, what am I doing? I'm making something very big. Oh yes, I'm going to a 14 font, and I'm going to change the color purple. That means, and notice how I've spaced these guys out, that means that I think the chords that are, what's the word I'm looking for? The chords that are appropriate for each moment. I haven't had my coffee yet, so forgive the little stalls. All right, so Oh Danny Boy, the Pipes of Purpose Calling. Yeah, so we're going to make that purple. I think I'm just choosing purple as the color that I want these chords. So this is 1 and 4 in whatever, functionally speaking, is a Roman numeral 1 and a Roman numeral 4. I'm just jumping ahead and saying, okay, in the key of C, because it's super easy, we're going to call this C and this F, because these are when the chords hit, by the way. Oh Danny doesn't have a chord to it. It's just Oh Danny Boy, right? And so if you were to play that, you know, right? Oh Danny, there's the chord. The pipes are calling from Glen to, right? So Oh Danny Boy, the pipes are calling. So you notice, and it's generally going to, the chord's generally going to be very much lined up with the strong downbeat or the strong beat of the measure. If there's 2 chords per measure, the other chord is probably going to be on 3. All right, so we'll see how that works. Now what I'm doing is I'm just copying and pasting C, F. It doesn't mean that these are the chords. I just want to copy the format because this is at a 14-point font and a different color. And so that means everything that I change in this row will be now at this color and size. And then what I've done, by the way, if you haven't noticed, is I've made the strong beats much larger here and here, just so I can feel exactly when they're going to hit, right? And now I've filled in these chords correctly, right? Oh Danny Boy, the pipes are calling from Glen to Glen, right? Here's C and down. That's down is an A minor. The mountainside, right? So far, Oh Danny Boy, the pipes are calling from Glen to Glen and down the mountainside, right? And we can get much, much more detailed when we learn these chords and their extensions and different basses. I'll show you that in a second. But the idea is we want the general idea of the song. We're giving a general depiction of it. So now what I've done is I filled in the rest. Boy, the pipes are calling from Glen to Glen. Notice this changes on beat 3, strong beat, and down the mountainside. And then there's nothing here. No, you're not singing anything, but the chord does change, right? The summer's gone and all the roses dying. 'Tis you. Notice this C/G means that's the bass note. So this is what we call an inversion, right? Right. My must bide. All right. And again, chords can get more or less complex depending on who's going to be playing it. Don't worry about that. And now I'm just spacing it out a little bit more. Now, what we have here, by the way, is perfectly fine for a level 1. This is a great level 1 chord chart, right? You see it, you can really space it out, you understand, it's performable. If you hand this to somebody, I mean, we don't have a tempo written yet, but if you hand this to somebody, they're going to be able to at least play through generally what you've written because they kind of know where things happen. They kind of know how long things are, right? So I can sit there, if you're singing, for example, and say, oh, Danny, and I'll know when you hit the word boy, I play. The pipes are calling From glen to glen and down the mountainside. The summer's gone and all the roses dying. 'Tis you must go and I must bide, right? So I'll play when I hear these words, if I were accompanying you. And again, it also gives us this idea of how it's generally going to sound. So now we're going to get a little bit more advanced. I'm going to go to symbols here, right, in the upper right corner. I'm going to go to more symbols. I'm going to click on that. And I'm going to go to just normal text, because that gives us a whole bunch of comes with the software, comes with Microsoft Word, 100% in the package innately. And I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to use this. No, I'm not going to use that symbol. I don't know what that is. There, boom. I'm going to use an arrow, right? So I'm going to use this arrow and I'm going to click insert down here, all right? And then I'm going to also do this with a down arrow and click insert. And you'll see it's inserted an up arrow and a down arrow. Now, what these are going to be important for is the indication of a change in direction or a leap toward or away from a particular note. So it's a change in direction of the pitches. So as you can tell, we're about to write in the individual pitches, okay? I'm gonna go down, I'm gonna make this tiny. I'm gonna make this 8, right? So now what I've done is I've inserted B, C, D, right? O, Dan, E, right? And those are the pitches of this melody, right? So I'm going to highlight them, I'm going to bold them, and I'm going to make them, I like to use like this color here, sometimes you can use this, something that sticks out from the purple so that you know that you're reading your melody on the bottom, okay? Now I'm going to slowly enter the pitches. We have Oh Daddy Boy, the pipes so far. Very good. Now, there's an indication that it is going up. I'm going to copy and paste that here because anything, I'd say a fourth or more, if you're really meticulous, a third or more is fine, or a change in direction should have an arrow. So that's where we are. This A here, the pipes, right? Because otherwise I could go, or I could go down. Oh, Danny boy, the pipes, the, right? Boom. Uh-oh, problem. So we use this to show that's the general direction we're going. Now, as long as you can change directions here, that's optional. You could write a down arrow to G because, well, boom, A, G. But then again, sometimes I skip that because you know that the G is right next to the A, right? Right? The only time I'd use an arrow here is if you had to go up a seventh, which would be really weird. And you know, you won't hear that often. Like, why would you do that? All right, so because G is right next to the A, this is all in a downward direction, right? So what I do because of that is, I have an arrow basically saying we're going up and then the G is down. Now, in general, the argument for putting an arrow there is because a very long phrase is following. So if I did put the arrow here, I probably would not have needed the one here, right? The pipes are calling from Glen 2, right? So as you see, it really is about the change of direction of your melody more than anything else. When it changes direction, you want to indicate the leaps, okay? So here's Glen and down. So again, we didn't have to say we're going up to A because A is right next to G. Glen and down. Now the reason we put the down there is because again, we are going to have a change of direction and down the mountain and down. Why did that go away, by the way? Right? We went down, change of direction, up. Right? The summer's gone. Right? Don't get so hung up on the rules of the arrows. The idea is they're courtesies. Just to remind yourself where things are happening. Okay? So in general, this is pretty good. So we have "Oh Danny Boy," the pipes are calling from glen to glen and down the mountainside, the summer's gone. So all of the arrows are kind of showing you where things are happening. Yeah, it sounds right. And this one's crucial because we went up to that G. So we're down here in the basement, but we don't want to go here. We're actually going up. Right? Very, very important. All right. Excellent. So now we have things very lovely, spaced out. We double check. We're going to go back to our symbols now and put the cursor around here because basically just finding a space that you're going to do a lot of copying and pasting. And we're going to go to more symbols here. And this is where we're going to scroll down to our opus. You can type in the word opus or whatever, but we just need to find something that's going to have these basic symbols in them. Okay. We're going to find, first we'll do note heads. We're going to find a 16th note. And then we're going to find 2 eighth notes. I'll tell you why in a sec. You're going to find 2 quarter notes, 2 half notes, and then 1 whole note. All right? So I'll review that. We're going to do a 16th note and insert. Then we're going to do 2 eighth notes, insert twice, 2 quarter notes, insert, insert, 2 half notes, insert, insert, hit that twice, and then 1 whole note. Then we're going to do the same thing, and notice how they all come in here. They didn't show that I did it twice, but then we're going to do a 16th rest, then an 8th rest, insert, insert, then a quarter rest, insert, insert, 2 of those. 2, this way, it's hard to tell, by the way, that is going to be your whole rest, and that's your half rest. You can just tell because that's a little higher up and that's lower. But anyway, 2 of these and 1 of these, okay? So now we have this is going to appear here. Let's do a flat, let's do a sharp, and let's do a natural, just in case, okay? So let me review all of those just one more time so you can figure out where to find them on opus. There's your 16th note. Go to the left. There's your 8th note. Go to the right. There's your quarter note. Go to the left. There's your half note. Go to the right. There's your whole note. Then go to the bottom southwest. Let's go west-southwest. There is your 16th rest. That's 2 flags. Go down. There's your 8th rest. Go slightly up and to the right. There's your quarter rest. Go diagonally down to the right. There is your half rest. Go diagonally up to the right. There is your whole rest. All the way over here is your flat symbol. Up to the left, sharp, and then down to the right is going to be your natural. So we have all of these symbols, and you'll see I'm spacing them out, putting 2 spaces in between each. Now here's why we did 2 eighths, 2 quarters, and 2 halves. So you're just simply going to type a period next to the second one. Just your normal period. So you have 16th, 8th, dotted 8th, quarter, dotted quarter, half, dotted half. Okay? You're going to do the exact same thing here. Normal 16th, then you have an 8th, dotted 8th rest, quarter, dotted quarter rest, then dotted half rest, etc., etc. Okay? So I'm going to close in on these so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. 16th, 8th, dotted 8th, dotted quarter, half, dotted half, and then whole rest, and then same thing here. Just going to put a period next to each of these. Okay? Good. All right. And that gives us kind of our ability to, well, is that all we have? Yeah, that gives us the ability to really move on this. All right, here we go. Now, what I'm going to do, here we go, is we're going to insert the 8th rest here. Boom, boom, boom. Sorry, the 8th note. Because again, O, da, ni. There's just 1 comma or beat each. O, da, ni. So we're just going to put these exactly here, right? So, and by the way, we're going to flip these around in a second, but we're just going to cut them and paste them here at first. All right, just so they're there. Anytime you have something longer, we're going to count the number of beats or mini beats, subbeats. 1, 2, 3. So that means 3/8 notes. And 3/8 notes, boom, 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 that aligns to here, 1, 2, 3, equals a dotted, actually that's incorrect. Whoops. I don't know how that got in there. Boom, 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 and actually equals this guy here. So we're gonna do it again. Sorry, measure 3, 3, and then here we go. So that equals a dotted quarter note, right? So that means a dotted quarter note is gonna go here because we want that to last for 3 beats. Boom. O, da, ni, bo, o, oi, right? And then we're going to continue to fill these out. The pipes are call, all. Remember, there's 2 pitches, 1 sound. Calling. All right, that's a mini melisma. This is melismatic. So we're going to measure 3 here. 1, 2, 3. Calling from Glenn 2. Okay. Li-ing equals, of course, this guy here. So we're going to put that, copy and paste him. All right. Now, what if I need to take a breath? That's where the rests come in, right? When you want no actual singing, but you need to take up space. Well, in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give him a quiet little 8th rest point of lift. All right. So we have that, boom, and done. All right. So we're going to literally erase and go. All right. So I'm going to do that again here, le-en, boom, and down the mountain, sa-a-a-a-ide, boom, here. The summers go on. So here's a half note, by the way, and I put a rest here. Remember I said before, what do we do with 5? Well, there we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then rest makes 5. So I'm using that to make it sound like that is sung out. All right. So this is kind of your level 2, right? The idea is what we do, and you saw that I switched this, we're going to put the note value, the note duration, to the right of the note, because this is the order of operations here. I want to know which direction the note is going, literally which pitch it is, and how long I hold it out. Direction, specific pitch, how long I hold it out. And as you can see, and you can review this, we now have a very accurate way of depicting how this is going to sound. It's F. Right? Very, very easy. I just play the chord and the notes, and this gives me all of that information that you just heard me play.